Hi everyone, welcome to today's class. Today's class is all about the tarot and what makes it such a unique and special tool for your divination practice. I've been working with the tarot for over 20 years. I first started working with the tarot when I was 18 years old, and it's really been the most powerful companion in my intuitive practice, bar none. I've tried other divination tools, and the tarot has really been the one that, for me, has really lent itself well to a whole career where I have learned intuitive methods in depth. The tarot really gives the most complete intuitive readings, and I feel like it's really the best divination system out there. And to learn to read a deck of tarot cards is something that I find a lot of people aspire to, but they all have some questions that basically very often the same questions as each other. I'm going to try to answer a lot of those questions in today's class for you. And really I hope you're going to find that learning to work with the tarot in your divination practice, in your intuitive practice, isn't going to be that tricky. It's going to be quite easy for anyone to pick up. So we're going to have a look at the tarot today, a look at some of the best ways to get started reading with a tarot deck, and hopefully by the end of the class here today, you're going to also really see a clear path forward about a way of reading that I'm going to take some time to go over with you later on in today's class. So let's get started. What on earth makes the tarot so special and so different from any other intuitive tool that you could pick up? Any other system of divination, I feel, pales in comparison to the tarot. The tarot has a full 78 different cards, and whether we find that you're reading with one deck or another, there are literally hundreds if not thousands of different tarot decks to choose from today. Thousands have been published. You're going to end up with these same 78 cards. What is that all about? Why does that make the tarot so special? Well, I feel that these 78 cards are like a complete alphabet of intuitive language that our intuition can use to speak to us about a full volume, really, of human experience that's being expressed in these images. Oracle decks express some of the themes and experiences that we see depicted in the 78 cards of the tarot, but quite frankly, most oracle decks fall dozens and dozens of cards short of 78. And to me, that feels like less of an expression possible in an intuitive reading if you don't have as many experiences depicted that you can draw from. So I like tarot just for its sheer completeness. It feels very complete as a divinatory tool for me. Now, the whole thing that really usually puts people off learning to read the tarot cards is exactly that, though. It's that there are 78 of the things, and people have it in their head that they're going to have to memorize 78 different meanings of different cards, and then you're going to have to memorize all of the reversed readings, because what if, heaven forbid, a card comes up as reversed in a reading? That is a bit of a myth, quite frankly. What really happens when you learn to read the tarot is you recognize very quickly that the 78 cards of the tarot are ingenious because they are modeled on the pattern of the universe. They are modeled on patterns that you can easily identify and see described in these cards. Whether you've got one version of a tarot deck or another, you're essentially going to see the same 4 suits in a deck of tarot cards, and then you're going to see a fifth sort of suit. I don't like to call the fifth one really a suit, because the fifth set of cards in a tarot is a set of 22 cards called the Major Arcana cards. These cards correspond to the stations on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life and the Hebrew alphabet, and there are also correspondences being drawn between those 22 Major Arcana cards, and theories of the hero's journey, theories that people like Joseph Campbell have worked extensively with, as well as Carl Jung. So all of that experience is in the 22 cards of the Major Arcana. We spend quite a bit of time going over the major arcana in my tarot classes, but you'd be surprised how quickly you pick up even those 22 cards. They're a bit trickier than the 4 suits. I'll look at the 4 suits a little bit more with you here in a minute. But even the major arcana cards, the beautiful thing about them is they're not that tricky to learn and really get a good feel for what each card expresses. And the reason that is the case is because the major arcana, the experiences and the encounters that we have depicted in these 22 cards are more like remembering our own experiences and remembering the experiences that we find in many of our modern day movies, literature, books, stories. If we really look at the human experience, there are certain universal themes. And these themes, when you look at them in the major arcana and in the other cards as well, are themes that you're going to recognize. It's very natural to recognize these because you're human. And that's really all that the tarot gives us, is a recognition or a mirror of our own experiences, so that once we have been told, this is an experience of balance, or this is an experience of learning, or this is an experience of love, then it's not like we're really going to be able to forget that. Because it's already very familiar to us. It's more like remembering. Now, the 4 suits of the deck of tarot cards usually are called wands and swords and cups and pentacles. Now, if you pick up a different deck by a different author or artist, they might be replaced by different names, but you're always going to be able to recognize them as wands, swords, cups, and pentacles, because they are based on themes experientially relating to the 4 elements. Wands depict an experience of fire energy. Fire is all about creativity and passion as an experience. And many people are familiar with these suits through ideas of astrology. If you're a Leo or a Sagittarius or an Aries, you'll know that the element associated with those astrological signs is the element of fire for similar reasons, right? Now, let's look at swords really quickly. No matter what swords are called in any deck that you're going to pick up throughout the world, sometimes you're going to see swords called things like blades or spears. It depicts the energy of air. The element of air, the energy of air, denotes themes of communication, mental activity, words, and so on and so forth. Thought is often in there as well. So when we look at swords, no matter what we're called, in our deck, whichever deck we're reading with, we're going to see those air sign themes shining through. And of course, if you happen to have an air sign astrological sign, this might already be a very familiar idea for you about what air sign qualities are all about. Communication and thought is essentially what that air sign quality boils down to. So, a full quarter of the minor arcana of a tarot are all to do with communication and thought, and you can find that out right away just by seeing that the card is a sword or a blade or of the suit of air or whatever your deck has chosen to call that elemental suit. Okay, let's go through the other 2 elements really quickly. By the way, the 2 elements that I just covered are also known as the more yang or masculine energy suits. So the suits, there are 4 of them. They follow the basic 4 elements, but fire and air are known to be more yang energy suits, masculine energy suits, outward energy that interfaces an experience with the world. So we won't have to go into that too much, but you can even tell from the tools in the traditional tarot's naming of those elements, the wands and the swords, that these are tools that are to do with coming out into the world or attack or outreach of some sort, right? All of these are masculine themes energetically. The other two suits are a more feminine energy or yin energy, and those two suits are classically known as the cups and the pentacles. Now the cups are associated with the element of water. And the element of water is all about emotion and feelings. The realm of feeling and emotion runs deep no matter what this suit is going to be called in whatever tarot deck you pick up. That the cup suits can sometimes be called the suit of chalices or the suit of rivers, or something very watery will very often be named. And it's going to have that theme of emotion running through it. A vessel of any sort depicted in this suit's emblem is all about receiving as well. The quality of emotion being a yin, a feminine quality, that you can receive emotion when you feel you are, in a sense, a vessel of feeling, is being denoted there. And finally, let's look at the pentacles. The pentacles are often called things like coins or stones, and they correspond to the energetic element of earth. Now, earth sign qualities and earth sign experiences are all about the material, physical world. Experiences to do with money and finance, health and well-being, place, arrangement of space, where you live on the planet, where you want to vacation. These are all very earth sign feeling issues. So, anything to do with time management or just physical organization can very often have a lot of earth sign cards come up in a reading, if that ends up being the theme of the reading. And the pentacles relating to the element of earth, if your astrological sign is, let's see, we've got Taurus and Capricorn and Virgo, I believe, as the astrological signs relating to the element of earth, you'll be familiar with some of those qualities of the element of earth, because they're qualities that very often you'll be told are qualities that are associated with your personality type if you're an earth sign, astrological sign. So these four suits, corresponding to fire, air, water, and earth, are really quite easy to understand very, very quickly. The next step that I look at as far as patterns in the tarot also helps students to more or less just remember that they already know what the experiences depicted on tarot cards are all about. And those experiences are experiences to do with the number of a card, or the name of a card, or a symbol on a card, or a color. And tying all of this knowledge together is a bit like weaving a tapestry or putting together all of the chapters in a story, so that when you read a tarot card reading, it really kind of feels, after you get familiar with the cards, almost like you're just telling a story to reflect an experience either back to yourself, if you're reading for yourself, or you can tell the story to whoever you're reading the cards for. But the cards are something more like visual prompts, and you literally just the material that you're going to be imparting with your words just kind of bubbles up in a way when you get really masterful at the tarot. And again, this doesn't happen through memorization. This happens in a very, very human way. The human brain and mind retains information best. We have so many examples of this, scientifically proven examples. We retain information best when we are told that information in the form of a story, rather than trying to string together a series of abstract facts and figures. For instance, if I were to tell you that plane tickets to England this summer for my family are going to cost in the neighborhood of $6,000 US dollars, you may or may not remember that fact and figure. But if I told you the same information, only I said it like this: my family and I are going to Britain this summer, and we haven't been back in 9 years. And the plane tickets that I saw with American Airlines the other day cost $6,000, and they're from Phoenix, Arizona to London Heathrow, and it's a red-eye flight, $6,000. If I threw that number in there twice, but I told it like that in the form of a story with a lot of other information, you're actually more likely to remember that the number that was associated with the cost of those tickets was $6,000 than if I just simply told you that as a random fact. The same thing happens. The same phenomenon is at play when you learn to read the tarot cards. Because you learn through recognizing experiences that you already have an association with in your brain is able to lock in to the things that are already in there, the memories that are already in there. You tell it a story, it puts together a pattern. The recall isn't even an issue because it's just already simply there, and you can just begin to talk about the cards. The process of learning the tarot is really so much simpler in this way than many people think it's going to be, because there really isn't any memorization. Really quickly, the question I usually have come up at this point before I go into a few examples for you of what we like to do when we're doing tarot readings. The question that usually comes up right before that is, oh my gosh, what happens if in a tarot reading you have a reversed card though? Does that mean that the meaning of the card is reversed? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. When you're in the process, you'll be looking at information that you have from surrounding cards in an intuitive spread to really guide your decision there. And you'll know when you're there whether it's a reversed meaning or not. But usually, whether it is or isn't, the important thing that comes out in the reading is that reversed card is an unmanifested experience, or an experience that isn't expressing in as powerful a way as it possibly could. And simply put, your mission then, as a reader or someone getting your cards read, is to figure out how to turn the energy of that card upright, how to get more of that energy alive and well in your life experience, rather than having it show up reverse, which means that the potential's there, but it's not quite manifesting, and it might need some help. So reverse cards, I think, are actually great in readings because they sort of give you a big clue into what the prescription of the reading is, what you really should be doing one way or another with the information that you get out of a reading. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into now that what to do with the information that you get, the interpretive part of the tarot reading. Very, very important part of the reading, because this is really the stuff that I feel got kind of messed up in the last century for intuitive readers. We got a bit of a bad rap because people, for whatever reason, believe that when you get a tarot card reading, the whole point of the reading is that you're being told your fortune, or you're being told your destiny. Now, that might sound really exciting to some people, but honestly, think about it for a minute. Have you ever been in a position, I have, where I'm sort of hesitant to dive into the realm of the intuition, because what if I get told something I don't like? Right? So this is not such a useful idea for us to have about why we should get intuitive readings. You know, many of us, think about it. Do you want to know exactly how and when, your loved ones are going to pass away? No, maybe you don't want to know that. Maybe that would sort of ruin life to know everything like that. So people get fearful, they get put off. What is the function of intuitive readings then? The function of intuitive readings is not to scare us. It's not to give us a prophecy that we can't do anything about, and then we're sort of just doomed to know this awful, fateful thing, right? A lot of us have that impression, by the way, because this is how a lot of our stories go, right? Think about Greek mythology and prophecies of kingdoms being overthrown and how many firstborn sons and such were killed because of prophecy. And, kings not wanting prophecies to come true. We're all familiar with these things. So we have this idea that this is what intuitive readings are all about. Intuitive readings are pretty much as useful, or maybe even more useful, as a good therapy session or a good counseling session or a good yoga practice would be to you. It increases the likelihood that you are going to live a mindful, aware life. And when you put attention on what your unconscious is telling you to pay attention to, your life gets better. Not worse, but better, because you have more information. And that information is there to guide you, to tell you exactly how you should be approaching your life based on what your unconscious recognizes is going on in those scenarios. You get a much broader, deeper perception of your everyday reality. You become so much more aware and conscious in your life because you understand and see underlying factors that are causing things to happen or causing things to feel a certain way. It's a depth of understanding that we really get in a good tarot card reading. And what makes this a wonderful tool to start to use yourself, to empower yourself with, to do readings for yourself? Develop an intuitive practice, perhaps a practice that you engage in daily, like a good meditation practice or a good yoga practice. What will happen, hands down, when you're doing an intuitive reading, is you're going to find that through that consciousness and awareness, that depth of perception that intuitive readings give you, your life is going to transform because your unconscious guides you to look at the parts of your life and the experiences of your life in a different way. And when your unconscious does that and you focus on your life in this deeper way and you pay attention to the things that your unconscious wants you to pay attention to, it's pretty much like having your best, highest self guide you in every day that you do an intuitive reading. And your highest self points you to where your life can improve, where your life can get better. The secret that I really think sums up what I've learned over 20 years of doing tarot card readings for myself and hundreds of students at this point, is that a tarot card reading is a nudge towards a more expansive development of your life. Your highest self is going to want to lead you on some adventures, but your highest self knows why you need to go on those adventures. It will nudge you in directions in your life, little by little, day by day. And in all of your readings, what you will find is the suggestions that you come up with are from your highest self. What you come up with to actually do about the information that you get given in a tarot card reading is right there in the reading as well. The tarot card reading, when read in a positive, what I call a choice-centered way, is a prescription for what to do to make your life better, more expansive. This is where we put the framing of a tarot card reading, not on the fear of everything that can go wrong, but the fact that every single reading is telling you a secret or a key to make your life that much better. Through an intuitive practice with the tarot cards, your life will truly transform in so many ways. You will manifest quicker. You will be aware of so much more in every communication that you encounter. And so communications go more smoothly. Your relationships transform. The tarot is really a key to consciousness in so many ways, and so is your intuitive practice. So that's why I'm so glad that the tarot has really had such a successful revival after millennia of being pushed underground and not really being appropriate in any way to talk about intuition. It certainly doesn't seem like it's been appropriate recently to talk about intuition in the Western world, right? Here we are, and we have hundreds, if not thousands, of tarot decks that have not only survived, but also being created anew by modern day humans as we rediscover our intuition, which is really our sixth sense. Our intuition is our birthright, and the tarot is one of the best tools for developing your intuition. Is right here waiting for your exploration. So today I'm doing a course special. It includes my Tarot for Beginners course and another course that I have for you to do after Tarot for Beginners if you'd like to continue your adventure. The Tarot for Beginners is a 16-class course series. I originally developed Tarot for Beginners as a way to teach the tarot inside out and back to front, every single one of those numbers and suits and major arcana, hero's journey cards that I was talking about earlier. We go over in a depth that is going to enable you by the end of those 16 classes to pick up any deck of tarot cards that you choose. And there are hundreds to choose from. So I want you to go ahead and just shop for your tarot decks with just nothing more than what you are drawn to in mind. As long as your tarot deck has 78 cards, this course is going to be able to teach you to read with it, because it's a universal course, not just in the approach to the patterns and the numbers that we give you in Tarot for Beginners that enables you to learn it in these lessons, but also in the breadth of you can pick up any tarot deck. Any tarot deck that you're drawn to is going to be the best tarot deck for you to use here. Over the 16 classes, the other thing I wanted to say about them was that originally I did this as a weekend intensive. And I would have a classroom full of students come on Saturday and Sunday. They were big days, but we got through all 16 of these classes in that weekend intensive. So you can certainly get through it in the span of a weekend, but when you purchase the course package here today, you get access links to all 16 of those Tarot for Beginners classes right away. So you can go through them at your own pace, and you also have lifetime access to them. Fantastic, if you think about what you would normally pay for a weekend intensive workshop, it's usually a lot more than the offer we have here for you today. So it's just a fantastic deal. But I'm also very excited today, and just for the first sign-ups we get this week, the first 50 sign-ups this week, we're going to also be able to bonus you a completely new course that you'll be able to take after you're done with Tarot for Beginners. If you want more practice, if you want more experience, the best way to sometimes get that, other than doing your own readings for yourself, as you build up that confidence, is to look over the shoulders of other readings being done. So a few years ago, some of my students requested a chance to practice tarot card readings and to see me bring forward more readings as examples, so that they could kind of look over my shoulder and learn to read via experience, which is the other thing you need. You don't just need the knowledge of what the cards are all about, and then your personal practice, getting started with doing intuitive readings for the cards for yourself, but you also really need a lot of experience, and that can be very difficult to come by in a world where we very, very rarely have the opportunity to see intuitive readings done, let alone explained to us. This second class, which is now being called Advanced Tarot 201 is a group of practice sessions on the oldest known 10-card spread for tarot cards in the world. The spread is called the Celtic Cross Spread. It's a spread that you can pretty much translate and read for almost any situation you can think of. You can bring forward a Celtic Cross Spread reading. So what I had students do was I had them submit sample questions to me, questions that were really real questions that came up in their lives, and then I brought through a Celtic Cross reading for them. And on those 7 webcasts that we did during this course series, we went through about 3 on average different Celtic Cross readings in a really complete way in every class. So over the course of the Celtic Cross practice sessions, you have, I think, just shy of 24 example readings of the Celtic Cross spread that you can look at, you can follow along with. You also see the students' questions in there. And so it's a really nice way to look over the shoulder of readings actually being done. So that's what that Advanced Tarot 201 class is. But I'm going to gift that to our first 50 enrollments this week, right along with the Tarot for Beginners course in this tarot course set. So for both the Tarot for Beginners course, 16 classes, and the Advanced Tarot 201, where you get to see the examples of the Celtic Cross spread being done, you can have both of those courses today for one low price of $79. It's only available for the first 50 students here today, but once you've signed up, you get instant access via an email that will pop out to you with your links to the courses, and you will then have lifetime access to all of the classes. This is an amazing opportunity to get started in a really complete way with your tarot studies. Tarot is transformative to an intuitive practice because it is the most complete language available to you for intuitive readings. Any other intuitive tool really doesn't have the complete feel that a deck of 78 tarot cards will give you. And this course package is going to enable you to truly master tarot card reading. I'd love you to be able to take advantage of it today. Just $79 for the 16-part Tarot for Beginners, along with the Advanced Tarot 201 practice sessions, example readings of the Celtic Cross spread. All yours today for $79. Thank you so much for joining me for the introduction class here for the tarot and intuition. I hope it was useful to you, and I'll see you again soon.